So it is recording. Perfect. Just want to get myself situated really quickly on my end. Oops, perfect. Okay, sounds good. Here we go. So hello, everybody. My name is Rose, and I am the Community Programs Manager at Second Harvest, and I am also a certified waste auditor. I am joined today by my colleague, Norberto, who is the Harvest Kitchen's manager. So between the both of us, we're hoping to take good care of you as we launch our speaker series. So we're so excited to bring to you a curated workshop series to build a more robust food recovery network and inspire a strong commitment to waste reduction practices. So today we will be unpacking a very powerful tool that will revolutionize your business and your kitchen. So this is a guide to food waste auditing. Perfect. So to begin, I would love to start with a land acknowledgement. So while we meet today on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility to improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Métis, Inuit, and First Nations people that call Canada home. So please join me in acknowledging the harms and the mistakes of the past and consider how, in our own very special way, try to move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So thank you very much. So for those of you who are not familiar with Second Harvest, we are Canada's largest food rescue organization, and we are an expert in perishable food recovery. Our dual mission is no waste, no hunger, and it is our commitment to the planet that is both environmental and community focused. We have an incredible 36-year history of rescuing unsold surplus food from across the supply chain and redirecting that food to charities and non-for-profits to serve their in-need communities. Okay. Let's make sure. Perfect. So a few housekeepings before we launch. So this session is being recorded, and we can for sure share with you the recording after the workshop. So currently your video is off and your audio is muted. We do recommend and welcome any input you may have. So comments, concerns, questions, we want to know about it. So please let us know in the chat. Norberto will be monitoring that chat today and providing some support. So to start, I'd love to get a read of the room to see how knowledgeable we are about this topic already. So do take a few seconds to complete the first poll of the session. Amazing. All right, we have some new people that have not completed an audit before. This will be super helpful for you then. Amazing. Maybe give it a few more seconds to get your last votes in there. Okay, maybe we can stop the poll for now. Amazing, and fully close that poll. Good stuff. Thank you very much. All right. So this will be our agenda for today. So first, we will learn about the avoidable crisis of food waste. We will then unpack the food waste auditing process. By the end of the session, hopefully you will be equipped with fun and engaging strategies to make the audit process as collaborative as possible. So to start, what is the avoidable crisis of food waste? So in 2019, we invested in research to better understand the depth and breadth of food loss and waste in Canada. It is the first study that has captured primary data across the food supply chain using a standardized measurement. And our study actually showed very troubling results. So our research showed that 58% of everything that we produced in Canada and import is wasted every single year. That's almost 60%. That's the equivalent weight of 35.5 million metric tons, or the weight of 350,000 blue whales. Not only that, we found that 32% of everything that we waste is completely avoidable. It's food that you and I would go to the grocery store and be completely happy to buy. And it amounts to 11.2 million metric tons, or the weight of 90 CN towers. That's the amount of good food that's going to waste in our country every single year. We also found that food loss and waste occurs throughout the food chain, from production all the way to consumption. And the largest contributors to overall food loss and waste are in the production and processing stages of the supply chain. So if you look at the map, it's production and processing is respectively at 24% and 34%. And if we look at manufacturing and household, it's about 13 and 14%. And then hotels, restaurant, institutions are collectively at 9%, and retail, a grocery store, is coming at you at 4%. Canada's food loss and waste. The problem of this is perhaps one of the worst in the entire world. So get this, we have enough food to feed 52 million people. Canada's population is nearing 37 million people, which means we have enough food to feed everyone for free for almost 5 months. And yet, 4 million of us are food insecure. And with the COVID pandemic, this number has increased even more. So I think you and I can agree that the issue of food loss and waste really doesn't make sense. Another layer that we need to look at is if food waste was a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the entire world. So food that ends up in landfill creates methane gas, which is 25 times more damaging to the environment than carbon dioxide. So food loss and waste poses a significant environmental impact, which means that all of us, from farmers to manufacturers, from producers to distributors, from stores to homes, we really need to rethink how we view excess food and change our habits so that people can benefit and an environmental crisis can be avoided. So you might be asking, okay, great. So how do we do this? How do we reduce food waste? So one powerful tool to reduce food loss and waste is conducting a food waste audit. So what is a food waste audit? So a food waste audit is an educational activity to track food waste. It is a tool to help us pay attention to what and why and how food is wasted. So you might be thinking, okay, how beneficial is this actually? So here's a couple of benefits for businesses and home. So in no particular order, conducting a food waste audit can help you track food waste so you become aware of how you can reduce. Conducting a food waste audit will also help you on your grocery bills, which is fabulous. So did you know that the annual cost of avoidable food waste in Canada is $1,766 per household. That's almost $2,000 in savings. So actually in the chat, let me know, what would you do with $2,000 in savings? I'm curious. What would you do with $2,000 in savings? Would you go traveling in a country with $2,000 in savings? Would that be something that you'd want to do? Yeah, put it in your door, in the front of your house. Absolutely, that would be lovely. Travel, donate to a food bank. I love that. Pay down your mortgage. Absolutely, right? Yes, travel. Yeah, I see a lot of traveling, school, university. Yeah, for sure. $2,000, very good for tuition. Pay off student debts, saving for the kids. Yeah, maybe a really big trip. When COVID passes, when we enter recovery phase. Oh yes, absolutely. Donate it as well to maybe organizations that would need it. Absolutely. Yeah, so, you know, lots of there's an infinite ways you can use $2,000 rather than throwing it down the garbage bin. So pay down your line of credit. 100%, you know? So yeah, all of those suggestions are infinitely much better than throwing money in the garbage, for sure, 100%. Thanks so much for sharing. If you run a business, conducting an audit can help you reduce your disposal costs. It can also help you optimize your processes and maximize your resources. Conducting an audit can also encourage you to learn reduction strategies. You will be able to adjust how you shop, store, prep, distribute food. It can also meet corporate social responsibilities and can also be a team building exercise. A few groups that we've worked with in the past has actually mentioned that their communication skills improved as a team going through the food waste audit process. And finally, conducting a food waste audit can be really empowering. So for me, I get a rush of excitement when I don't have to empty the compost bin for 2 weeks straight. That's a gold star in my book. So great. So how do we conduct a food waste audit? Now there's generally 4 steps. There's plan, there's do, review, and then finally action plan. So in plan, you first need to determine your goals. So what information do you want to know? Do you want to know how much food you throw away? Maybe you want to know what kinds of food waste avoidable, such as rice or vegetables, versus unavoidable, such as banana peels, bones, pineapple grinds, or perhaps different types of food that you throw away, like protein, dairy, vegetables. If you're a business, maybe you want to track where food waste happens. Maybe you want to track if food waste is coming from storage or prep or distribution. So this is the time where you get to be that kid in the candy store and choose the data that you want to measure. This is actually really quite fun. I find this exercise really nice. And then the second step is choose your champion. So this is the person that will lead the audit and keep everybody engaged. So parents, I encourage you to make your kids the champion or co-champions to lead your family. They will have a really fun time doing that, I guarantee. And then the third one is choose the length of time that you want to do an audit. Now, we recommend running an audit 2 to 4 weeks and measuring daily to get the most results. But it's really up to you. This is your adventure and you get to decide. And then the fourth step in plan is gather your materials. When we ran our audit project with our agency partners, we gave them buckets, scales, gloves, tracking sheets, tarp, and aprons. you could simply use containers or even compost bags and a kitchen or a luggage scale. Those work too. So the materials will really depend on your goals and the scope of your audit. Okay, so now let's get to the fun part. So once you plan everything out, you can now proceed to conducting the audit. So the first step you have to do is to set up your bins depending on your goals. So mark your containers with your waste categories. So for example, you can mark it with plate waste, food scraps, prep waste. You can go as simple as unavoidable versus avoidable food waste. All that works well. It really depends on what you want to measure. And then the second step here is train your team. So make sure everybody knows the process. Share with them what you learned today, and maybe be on the same page on how to tell when food has gone bad or not. So actually, let's do a quick check to help us determine when food has gone bad or not. So in the chat, let me know if the following is still safe to eat from your perspective. So yes or no, are those vegetables still safe to eat? What do you think? No. Okay. Anybody else? Are those vegetables safe to eat? We got some no's, we got some yeses. No, yes, yes. Actually, yeah, they're pretty safe to eat. So those vegetables are what we call quote unquote ugly fruits and vegetables. And chop those baby up, put it in a stew or a chili, and you're good to go. Okay, what about that apple? Is that apple safe to eat, you think? Yes or no in the chat? Yes to the apple. We got a yes, we got a nope. No, yes. We got bottom half. Yeah. So yeah, we got some amazing people that, yeah, pick it up and cut it in half, maybe see what it's like inside. Maybe. Is it run all the way through? Absolutely. Check it out. And if you're finding that it is run all the way through, feel free to compost. A pro tip from us is that if you happen to buy a bunch of apples and you're finding that one of them is rotten, I would suggest taking that rotten apple quickly out of the bunch, because it will ripen the bunch really quickly. And then you'll have to deal with a lot of apples that you need to eat ASAP. Okay, what about that yogurt? What are we thinking? Would we want to eat that? Yes or no? Nope. No. Okay. Yeah, we got a heck nah, you know? Not the time. Okay. I would suggest no. Mainly because mold can spread quickly throughout a food. So yeah, not even the top half. I would, if you see mold on yogurt, it's probably it's probably safe to say that the entire container has been contaminated. So I would actually suggest that you compost that and throw that away. What about crackers? What are we thinking? Is that safe to eat, especially the open package? What are we thinking? We got some yeses here, got some yeses. Yeah, I would actually put a no on this one. And it's mainly because you never want to open, or you never want to eat food that has an open package, especially if you're not the one that opened the package or a family member, because you never know what could have gone inside that package. Little critters might have gone in there and pooped all over. So for safety purposes, I would compost that a little bit. So yeah, thanks so much everybody for those. But here's another one as well. What about meat? So A or B, which one is safe to eat? What do we think? We got some A's. Both, A, can't tell from looking, both. Got a lot of A's. Yeah, actually need more details. Yep. So both are actually safe to eat. So browning of beef demonstrates that the meat is slightly oxidized, which naturally happens. What is not natural though is bright red cuts of meat that don't brown. So this normally happens if antioxidant agents are used in retail to prolong the bright color, which appeals to consumers a little bit more. So this begs the question, how do we tell if meat has gone bad? So I have 3 tips. The first one is the smell. Perhaps the quickest way to know if your meat has gone over the hill, so to speak, is to consider how it smells. So spoiled meat will have a distinct, pungent smell that will make your face scrunch up. It's not a pretty smell, right? And then the texture, in addition to the unpleasant smell, spoiled meat can be really sticky or slimy. And then the last good indicator is the color. So rotten meat will undergo a slight change in color. If any of your meat turns green or greenish brown in color, it's really time to check the chuck, so to speak. So here's a bonus. What about hard cheese with mold at the edge? Is that safe to eat or not? Yes or no in the chat. Yes, cut it off. Yeah. Oh, we got some cheese lovers here. Fabulous. Yeah. You can just cut off the edge of hard cheese with mold, but soft cheeses like cottage cheese, cream cheese, ricotta with mold should be discarded. So with these cheeses, the mold can send threads throughout the cheese. And so it will contaminate more surface area than what you're seeing. So for any soft cheeses with mold in it, I suggest putting that directly to compost. Perfect. All right, so let's go back. So now that we have trained our team, the third step in do is once your containers are full, measure the weights using your scales. Now, if you don't want to measure the number of, if you don't want to measure, that's completely fine too. You could also just measure the number of filled containers, and that will give you the volume of your food waste. Perfect. So once you're done your measurement, take time to jot down additional details. So look at your food waste and see what kinds of food were thrown out. Parents, this is the perfect time to bring in your kids and have them be explorers with you. Poke around the food waste and check out what you have, you know? Maybe have a think of why food was thrown out. Maybe you guys can determine who didn't eat the food like they said that they were supposed to. Or if you're a business, maybe determine which department or program the food waste came from. Right? So that's the first thing, is to review. The second thing is to share your collective results with your family and your team. Celebrate together. Make colorful graphs and tables showing what you found. This is the perfect time to do a little show and tell. Parents, if your kids do this, take a video. That would be really one for the books. Okay, so this is perhaps my favorite part of the audit. It's when you get to make an action plan for reduction. I think this is where the magic happens. Now, your action plan is driven by the results of your audit. So I would recommend using the food recovery hierarchy for businesses and the food recovery hierarchy for home kitchens for homeowners. So let's take some time to unpack these two at this time. All right. So for businesses, source reduction is the best move always, right? Create less surplus in the first place so that you're not dealing with waste at the end of your processes. And then the second best thing is to help people in need. If you're a food business or know of a food business that have surplus food to donate, Second Harvest has launched. There we go. Second Harvest has launched an online platform called foodrescue.ca. We also have an app where businesses can donate food for free to be picked up by any agency catering to food insecure folks in their community. So I do want to share that with the pandemic, some of our food bank users are reporting 100% increase, if not more, in the number of new users accessing the programs. So if you know anyone, any food businesses that can support, please let us know and connect them through us to foodrescue.ca so that we can get as much food as we can get to communities in need, especially at this time. Okay, so after helping people, the next best thing is to give it to animals for them to consume, followed by sending the food waste to industrial processing, like an anaerobic digester, for example, to turn that food waste into energy. And then finally, consider composting before incineration or landfilling. For homeowners, the approach is very similar. So when you go shopping, we encourage you to carry a shopping list so that you don't overbuy. Be careful of those 2-for-1 deals. I know we love them, but be careful because if you don't use the second item, then you actually lose more money at the end of it all. The second best thing to do is to store your food well and perhaps consider meal planning to maximize the use of your food. For me personally, I love the third one, right? Practice energy, use it up measures. Practice emergency, use it up measures or freeze, right? Because to me, that's the invitation I needed to be the next Master Chef of Canada. Who doesn't want to be that, right? So love your leftovers and find easy ways to incorporate them. If you're stumped and don't have time, consider freezing your leftovers. I do this a lot with my leftover chili, my waffles or pancakes, spaghetti sauce, vegetables, rice, you name it. After that, see if your pet can score some surplus food. And if not, compost before throwing it in the garbage. All right, so I did want to take a few minutes to talk about best before dates and expiration dates, because misconceptions around date coding is the leading cause of food loss and waste in Canada. So it's a very good idea to build into your action plan to not throw out food because of the best before date. So I want to know in the chat, what do you think best before dates are? What do you think? A suggestion for retailers. Yeah, what else? What else do people think? What do you think food guides? I like that word. It's a guideline. When it can be, so it's a suggestion. Oh, I love all of you. Yes, absolutely, right? So when it is best, not bad, for sure. Optimal freshness. The date by which you should open, no, well, let's see. So best before dates by definition are dates that are given to the product by a manufacturer, right? It represents an estimate, a guess, a guideline to the peak quality or freshness of a product, right? Best before date is not a food safety indicator, nor is it the same as an expiration date. So this means that you can safely consume past the best before date and live to tell the tale. As long as you're practicing proper food handling and storage, which most of us do anyway. So another thing to consider here is that best before dates actually become irrelevant once you open the package. So once that package is open, the food can spoil a lot faster or a lot slower. The best before date becomes useless. So consider that when you're throwing out food has passed the best before date. So then what are expiration dates? So these are dates that are put into specific types of food, and they indicate when the nutritional content of that food may be compromised. And there are only five items, folks, in Canada that has an expiration date. And they are nutritional supplements like whey protein powder. We've got formulated liquid diets like Ensure. We got meal replacements like protein bars. We got baby formula and human milk substitutes like Infima. And then finally, we have pharmacy sold foods for low energy diet. You can't even buy this at your regular grocery store. You actually need a doctor's prescription. So outside of these five items, mushrooms, vegetables, meat, dairy, all food has a best before date, and you can eat that food past the date. So something to note here too is that expiration dates are also not food safety indicator either, in that they will not cause any food poisoning if you consume food past the expiration date. Now, we don't recommend that you eat food past the expiration date because the nutrients that are needed to support health is no longer there. So for example, you would never want to give a baby expired formula. The baby will most likely not get any food poisoning from eating the expired food, but they also won't get the necessary nutrients they need for growth either. So don't eat food past the expiration date. All right, let's do a quick game. Why don't we do that? So I'm going to put up a poll, and I want to know how long past the best before date do you think these food items are still good to eat? Keeping in mind that these items are properly handled and not opened. Maybe a few more seconds. Get your last minute question answers in there, and let's see. All right, maybe we can end poll and then share that result. Amazing. So let's see. How long past the best before date do you think milk and eggs are still safe to eat? Most people say 1 week. It's actually 2 weeks, folks. That's crazy, huh? How long past the best before date do you think canned fruits and vegetables are still safe to eat? 1 year, absolutely, right? 1 year. So don't throw away your canned fruit or canned anything and vegetable, especially the frozen ones. And then the third question, how long past the best before date do you think crackers and cereals are still safe to eat? 1 year. It's good. 1 year past the best before date. Isn't that crazy? As a lover of rice, I will take that. And then the last one is, how long past the best before date do you think frozen whole beef, lamb, pork, and chicken are still safe to eat? 1 year. 1 year past the best before date. So if you keep that frozen and in the cold chain, you can eat meat 1 year past the best before date. So yeah, that just goes to show you that you don't need to throw away or use the best before date as an indicator to tell you when food is good or bad. Okay, So I have personally found that eating food past the best before date, it's a journey. It takes some time, right? So because we have to unlearn first a lot of what society has told us about eating food past the date, and then unpack those myths that we have been told. So as a first step, I would actually recommend folks to download or get a hold of our food consumption table like you see here, to get some general guidelines of how long past the best before date it's still safe to eat food items. I will say that these are just recommendations, and many of us, me included, have eaten food even past these guidelines. So in the chat, let me know, out of curiosity, have you ever eaten food past the best before date? Yes or no? In the chat. We got some yeses here many times. Oh, fantastic. Of course, yes. Yeah, yeah. See, many of us have eaten food past the best before date, and we're alive and we're here and we're chatting. I love that. Yeah, yeah. My mom also needed a little bit of education and training for my part, and she went a little bit crazy too. So it's all about communication. Perfect. Yeah, amazing. Okay, so let's face it. Sometimes doing an audit, well, sometimes it can be a drag. So you might be thinking, oh, Rose, I'd love to do an audit, but there's a lot of steps. Or you might be trying to figure out, oh, well, I'd love to do that, but where am I going to fit an audit when I have 1,000,001 things to do? I hear you. I hear you. So the first thing I will share is that doing a food waste audit is actually not that difficult, and nor is it very time consuming. Agencies that we've worked in the past are often really surprised how easy it is. And a few of them have even asked us to extend the audit process so that they can gather more data. But here are my 5 tips to making the food waste audit fun and engaging for everybody. So the first one is to turn it into a challenge, capitalize on our competitive spirit. And it's a bonus if you attach a really cool reward to it. Maybe it's gift cards for your volunteers and employees. Maybe stickers for the kiddos, ice cream. you know your people well, so you know what will motivate them to get them going. The second tip there is share your food waste journey with people in your network. So for those of us active on social media, take photos of what you're doing and generate discussions. Get those likes, get that publicity, but be sure to tag us on social media or Second Harvest CA in all media platforms so that we can celebrate you and give you some thumbs up, all that good stuff. And then the third thing there is, well, as you've probably noticed, is that the food waste audit process is very interactive. So if you have kids, this is a very fun exercise to do with them because they can be explorers. You can poke around together and really have meaningful discussions. I would also suggest using the IKEA effect, right? And make the process as collaborative as possible. If people are co-building something like an action plan together, they will be more invested in the change actions after. My 4th tip is be sure to celebrate successes along the way as well as the big ones. If you notice that you didn't want to measure your food waste one day but did it anyway, that's a gold star. You deserve a treat. That's fantastic. And finally, my last tip, and perhaps my favorite one, is be kind to yourself. To get the most out of the food waste audit, it is best to follow the processes as much as possible. But if life gets hectic, feel free to change your goals or change up how long you want to do the audit, or perhaps park the audit right now for you to tackle the emergency. This is your adventure. You get to decide your journey. So in the chat, I'd love to know, do you guys have any other ideas on how we could make the food waste audit a really fun thing to do? What do you think? What else can we do to make this process fun? I'm curious, what kind of motivations would you give out to your colleagues, family, friends? What would get them going to do a food waste audit? Yeah, get school involved. Absolutely. Yes, I like that. Yeah, have a counter of how much money you're saving when you are reducing your food waste. Most unusual super contest. I'm gonna steal that. Yes, you know, create those really fun activities. 100%. Perfect. Yeah, video themselves while auditing and send it in. Make sure to tag us. I'd love to see. Perfect. Yeah, good stuff. Great ideas. So in a classroom setting or in a school setting, have contests between classrooms to see which class creates the least amount of waste. Love that. Amazing recipes. Yeah, see if you can incorporate that in your change actions, and maybe as a part of your action plan, have a cooking night where you refurnish or you cook from scraps. Maybe that's something that you want to do one night. That would be really lovely. Yeah, infinite ways you could make the food waste audit a really fun experience for everyone. Perfect. So at the end of this webinar, here are my 2 key messages. The first one is that food loss and waste is a serious issue in Canada. Almost 60% of what we produce and import is wasted every single year. And my second message to everybody is that conducting a food waste audit can completely revolutionize your kitchen and your businesses. So I invite you to really try it out. So before we end, I also do want to share some additional resources. So we invite you to take in 2 of our upcoming workshops in February. We have 4 steps to food safety. So in this session, we will unpack the 4 key steps to reducing the growth of bacteria while giving you more tools to prevent unnecessary food waste caused by misinterpreting date labels. So this is a solid resource for food business staff, food program volunteers, and anyone who wants a food safe, zero waste kitchen. Our second one there is maximizing your food, how to store it right. In this session, we will unpack simple guidelines for storing and chilling your food, from why you must respect the cold chain to uncovering the secrets to reviving food. Come join us and learn how to store it right. We will attach the links in the chat. Amazing. And then finally, I do want to recommend for folks to check out our free e-learning modules. We've launched 3. So we have a guide to food date labels in Canada to help anyone interested in better understanding the complicated world of food date labels. We have a guide to food recovery for any donors to get any clarification on misconceptions regarding food donation. If liability is an issue, that e-learning module will be perfect for you. And then we have a guide to food waste audits, which will provide even more information on how to conduct a food waste audit. And you will also be able to download our supporting resources like data sheets and our impact calculator. So each learning module is free, takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. They feature key facts, key takeaways, videos, interactive games, downloadable resources, you name it, it's there. And after completing the modules, each learner receives a certificate of completion. So if you have not accessed it yet, please head to training.secondharvest.ca and reap the benefits. Perfect. So thank you so much for your time. We loved having you. Thank you for the interaction in the chat. Before we go to the Q&A, I do want to ask all of you to take a few seconds to complete the very last poll of our session today. So please take a few seconds to do that. Mhm. Giving a few more seconds for people to provide their answers. Mhm. All right. Perfect, folks. Thank you so much. Let's end that poll. Great. So I want to turn the tables over to all of you. If you have any questions or concerns or just questions that you want to chat or any suggestions, comments, would love to hear it. We'll be here for the next 10 minutes and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. Okay, so I'm not seeing questions. Oh, well, we have some. All right, so we have a question from Brenda and she asks, can I donate items that are past the best before date? Yes, you can. Absolutely. So many of our partners are equipped with the consumption table that I showed earlier. And yeah, they will definitely accept food past the best before date. And so do we as well. Great. Interesting. I have a comment here from Helen. She said many food banks will not. So you know what? I think I'll amend a little bit or maybe add a disclaimer to Brenda. Maybe reach out to your food bank just to double check. I will say that for us, if the food is close to the best before date or just after it, we do accept it to then redistribute to our agencies of 2,000 social agencies across Canada. But yeah, to Helen's point, maybe it's a good thing to check with your agency first and foremost to just make sure that that food will get utilized. So thank you, Helen, for that reminder. Are there any other certifications you may recommend for food waste auditing? Yeah, so you could also take the certification that I took. So I got certified in waste auditing. So it doesn't specifically certify you for food auditing, but the process is very similar. So the Recycling Council of Ontario will have certification workshops that you can attend. Highly recommend, learned a lot. Perfect. I will also say here, I will take this opportunity that if you are from an organization, a school, an institution, or a partner that would like us to come and teach or run a workshop for you, reach out to us. We do have a pretty robust education and training program, and all proceeds from our initiative will be going directly to our food recovery and COVID relief efforts. So yeah, if you are if you think your business or your organization could benefit from a food waste prevention, food safety, or food literacy and nutrition workshop, please get a hold of us and we would be more than happy to share with you our pricing structures. I have a question from Joy. Do you have seminars to which we could refer food hamper clientele? I'm not quite sure I understand that question, Joy. We do, if I understood it properly, we do have we do have a lot of workshops that are geared to clients of food banks. So in March, for example, we could, yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you for clarification. Yeah, we do. We have trainings on food safety. So how you could get certified in food safety training. That's one. In March, we have an amazing workshop called Eating Well Within Budget. So it's how can you eat nutritious meal without breaking the bank. We also have in our series, in our speaker series, a Food Defender 2-day seminar where we will welcome food ambassadors to tell us food reduction tips that's perfect for clients. In August, we have a series called Let's Preserve, where you can take surplus food that you have and can it or dry it, preserve it so that you can extend the life of that food. Yeah, a lot of our workshops that we run for is perfect for our partners, but it's also really perfect for the clienteles that our partners service. Can anyone join the March? Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, please sign up for our Harvest News newsletters. Please follow us on our social media posts for Second Harvest CA in Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We will often share the links to our upcoming webinars there. You could also see any upcoming webinars in our website, so secondharvest.ca, under the Training and Education tab. We hope to see you in March. It's going to be a good series. I think there's 2 workshops that are coming out. It's Eating Well on a Budget and Eating Sustainably for the Planet. Perfect. Awesome. I have a question. Do I have more questions? If not.
There was a question about Manitoba and auditing.
Oh.
I forwarded to you internally.
Oh, thanks. Do the province of Manitoba also have food? Yeah. Yeah, they do. I think food waste auditors are pretty much everywhere. You might have to do a quick search, but I will say that Second Harvest is also active in Manitoba. We are a national organization. So if you would welcome a trainer to do food waste auditing in your province or territory, please think of us and we would be more than happy to support you. All right, folks. If that is all, oh wait, oh, I think we're good. All right, well, that's all I'm seeing in terms of questions. So from my team to your family and team as well, we wish you a happy Friday, enjoy the weekend, and sending you all virtual hugs and kisses as we go through the pandemic together. I hope you're all well. And please come join us again in February. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. I am going to end the workshop.